This is Otaku no Video, episode 33, The End of F, A Tale of Memories. So this is exciting. We're finally at the end of F, A Tale of Memories, going through the last couple episodes, and we're going to do this episode by episode, which is kind of convenient considering how well these are broken out. The first episode in this group, episode 10, deals almost exclusively with Miyako and Hirono. And that actually was a bit of a surprise for me. I was kind of shocked coming to the end of the episode and finding that they basically resolved that plot line and are able to spend the next two episodes entirely on Renji and Chihiro, which I think was actually a really good idea.
Yeah, I suppose so. There wasn't nearly as much to... Well, the way that they simplified the relationship with Hirono and everybody else was... I think they took some... Well, they didn't have that much to do with them. So yeah, it was nice that they got that squared away before we moved on to bigger and better things.
Mm-hmm. And I was really quite impressed with how they handled the sequence with Kei and them talking through the door of her bedroom. I mainly because it's so rare in anime to see a sequence where two characters who have sort of this weird relationship actually just sit down and talk about it and just honestly say, here's what I wanted, here's where I thought things would go, it's not that way, and here's where things are. And it's just so refreshing to see that just simple, honest talking really actually happen.
Yeah, and actually I thought it was neat how the quote in the eye catch makes some allusion to this. I think it alludes to, like, the door, literally.
Yeah. I hadn't noticed that, but now I remember.
But, yeah, it was nice that... But I don't know that I would say, and this is probably the biggest stumbling block I have for the entire show, is that, as a romance show it works, but I feel like there's a lot of stuff that they alluded to, and it sort of felt like maybe they had under their belt, but as you find out in the end, they didn't really... So is this any more than, two characters being really honest with each other in a romance show, which, granted, doesn't happen very often, and if it does, it's in episode 25 or 24 or whatever the last episode of the show is. So, yeah, I can hear that. I was more impressed with just the relationship between, the status of the relationship between Kei and Hirono by the end of this.
Yeah. It was surprisingly fresh and honest, and I love that final line of hers of saying basically, you know what, this hurts, and this is tough, but I think I'm going to be all right, and you need to do what you need to do, and it was just a surprisingly mature reaction from her.
Actually, something I was thinking about during, I think it's most explicitly talked about here about how relationships hurt people and things like that. And I immediately jumped to Ava.
Okay.
With the hedgehog's dilemma and that whole dealio, but I felt like while it was good to see that, I just didn't feel like I felt like it could have been more profound in some way.
Well, what were some of the things that you wanted to see them deal with the whole Kei Hirono relationship?
Well, I actually, this goes back to earlier in the show. I think about in the second group of episodes we talked about, or it was either in like 3 or 4 around there.
Okay. Where
I think it's Renji's mom. I think we can assume that well, she tells us that she's Renji-kun's mom, but I don't know if I want to believe her or not.
You mean Hirono's mom?
Is it? I thought it was...
the green-haired girl?
Because I didn't think we saw Hirono's parents.
Okay, maybe I'm switched around then. Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry, go ahead. Yep.
Okay, yeah, because Hirono ran away.
Right, yeah.
Okay, but she's talking about passion versus love.
Mm-hmm.
And one of these things I wanted to see a little bit more of was how that comes into play with a fulfilling relationship. And because the more I started to think about it, the more I thought about how both of the relationships in F are... And okay, they do a fair job of integrating some of the ideas that come along with the descriptions she gives us of passion, which is this very fast and destructive affair, versus love, which is this almost unapproaching, completely, I don't know that subservient would be the word, but very, I guess I can't explain it any more than that without finding the quote.
But yeah, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, and I felt like while the relationships between Kei and Hirono and Renji and Chihiro did some of that, I would have liked to see a little bit more and them to be a little bit more specific about that, but
yeah.
That really bothered me when when they didn't come back to that.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the big surprise of this whole ending, is that it really turns into, we were talking about this, that it really turns into just the ending of a romance series. It's just pure romantic stuff for the last 3 episodes, and that's pretty much all we get.
Yeah, which is, acceptable would be the word.
Yeah.
But it really felt like they had something else that could have been done here.
Yeah, that's the surprising thing, and considering all the other different themes they introduced of loss and betrayal and observing people from afar and what you actually do about things, it just, those things certainly, weren't explored much further. It's funny, I remember watching Scott Fraser at the time talking about anime episode lengths back in, this would have been about 2001, saying that the move from 50 episode series to 26 episode series was a very good thing. 26 to 13, not so sure. And I think this is a good example of a series I think would have been a lot better 26 episodes.
Which, granted, neither of us have seen any of Melody's, but...
Right.
Which I don't know where that ventures into, and personally, I don't know if I want to spend any more time with F. Yeah, it's, well, I would disagree with that statement, but yeah, this is a... Because I feel like they had plenty of time to do more than repeat stuff.
I agree there. I'm just saying, I think this is a show that it's almost like they were planning to have 26 episodes, and they had to chop things off at 13.
Yeah, it does sort of feel. I can see how you can. Yeah, that's. And unless you have more to say, episode 10, I just wanted to talk about the phone sequence.
Okay.
A little bit.
Yeah, that was. It's funny. I liked the sequence conceptually and visually. I think it worked, but by the end, I was having a seizure. It went on an awful long time, and there was no movement whatsoever. And it just, again, gets back to that thing for me that it was just a neat idea executed in a way that felt annoying.
See, because I actually thought this one was good.
Okay.
I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just that I spent another 3 episodes with the characters, and that there was actually, the stopping point was within sight. Mm-hmm. Because they start us out at 100 or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But the only thing that really bothered me was we count down to this ultimately, Miyamura, is that her name?
Miyako.
Or Miyako, sorry. She's talking about all this stuff about how she must cut herself off from Hirono, and then, of course, no.